I think we have to look at food in a totally different way to how we have been seeing food. And in seeing food in a different way, rather than seeing it as just satisfying our senses, we actually see it as a living entity. Because in whole foods there is a living message. That living message, if it's retained within the whole food, and we put that whole food in our mouth, then our sacred temple, this living temple here, receives that message. Now, we don't understand fully what that message is, but this sacred temple, this body, does understand what that message is and knows exactly where to put those messages. It's an electrical force, it's an electrical message. Science doesn't know what electricity is, okay? But electricity is a message. It's a message direct from source. When we eat processed food, that's the scenario that's going on. There is no message in processed food, or very little message left in processed food and in harshly cooked food. So, and processed means actually, pro means for, and cess means death, means cease to be. Cessation means finished. So processed means for death. And that's exactly the signature that it has, and that's why we're seeing so much sickness around, because we've bought into the processed food industry because it was convenient. So we're getting back to getting the original message, and there's messages coming direct from source every minute of every hour of every day. And we have the opportunity of collecting that message. When we get that message inside this sacred temple, this body of ours, we're going to fully understand what's going on. We're going to be filled with inspirations. We're going to be filled with all sorts of stuff that at this point in time we're not. You know, we're the sickest generation. We've heard it time and time again, and it really starts to grate after a while hearing it. But the truth is, that's the fact. If you look at yourself in the mirror, that person that is looking back at you is not happy, is not healthy, because been eating processed foods. And that's since childhood, because we were told as kids, you know, we can have all sorts of stuff. These horrible laced lollies, that, you know, sweets, were just to spoil the kids. It actually did spoil us. And we're seeing the results of that in our body, in our way of thinking, in our way of life. Now, luckily, there is a movement that is starting to turn that whole process around, and we're starting to realise that there's something greater. If we can take that a step further and realise that food is not just food, it is a living source for this living body. Nothing else can take its place. Now, when you have that understanding, you can start putting foods together in a very special way and start building a body within foods. So when you know that there's certain foods that is good for the brain, that is good for the heart, you can put together a meal that is going to fulfill all of the body's needs and requirements. There are a number of ways to do it. The ancients knew how to do it. Now, in ancient times, we can read about them in different scriptures, and they're called sacred meals. Now, when we use the word sacred meal, it's not for an advertising gimmick. It is actually sacred meal. So it has to be done in a sacred way. It has to be prepared in a sacred way. It's not just for, this is a wonderful word, you know, we'll use that and sell it to the world. Sacred meal is exactly that. It's sacred. It's done in a very special way. Okay, a signature in food is, when I was doing a diploma in naturopathy, I did a little bit of a diploma in naturopathy and then opted out because I wasn't happy with where it was taking me. Lots of supplements and all of that type of stuff. And supplements, sup means to eat. I won't go there. No, okay, I don't need to go there. Lament means it's finished with. So I wasn't happy where it was taking me, but one of the things that really did ring true for me and start kindling a passion in me was our teacher, her name was Romy. started talking about doctrine of signatures, and to me it started to make sense. I didn't fully get the picture, but it was like, somebody just turned a light on, and that's where I wanted to go. I wanted to go down whole foods, because I felt that you can't get any better than that. This is something direct from nature, which has been used as a healing, as a living food, as something that will sustain us throughout our history, throughout our total living space, from time immemorial to now. And there are a number of different companies that are trying to distort that at this point in time, and hopefully I believe that they won't actually be successful, because you can't emulate nature. And things like the internet are actually starting to come of their own, because they're telling us what's actually going on, and with us gaining that knowledge we can say no, because we're seeing the horrific stuff that's going on. We never used to be able to see that. Now we can see that. There's lots of films coming out that are telling us all these wonderful things that are going to help people through a transition of unknowing to knowing. The thing that will actually be the foundation of it is truth. You need truth. We need truth. Everything else is going to crumble. You can't cling on to stuff that isn't true. So in nature, there's no human trying to distort it or anything like that. There is that direct message, direct from source. If you look at different scriptures, so biblical scripture, it says in the beginning, every herb and grass was provided for. This shall be your meat. Meat was never meant to be flesh. You know, I find that concept now horrific. It was meant to be for the seeds and the fruits and the vegetables. All those types of things were meant to be our sustenance. Now, in the fruits and the vegetables was that living message. That's what this body needs. We also need sunlight. Now, as we refine our bodies, we're going to find that we can take it another step beyond where we are at this point in time, but that's another story to go down. Teacher Romy was talking. She mentioned the doctrine of signatures. So the doctrine of signatures is that, say for instance, an almond. If you have a look at an almond, you'll see that it's in the shape of a heart. If you have a close look at an almond, one that's been fully activated, you'll even see the veins and that going out, and it just looks exactly like a beautiful heart. Now, science knows that an almond is extremely good for the heart. A brilliant visionary and one of my friends, Don Tolman, has brought this to the forefront and rekindled a passion in me when he speaks of the walnut being brain food. If you have a look at a walnut looks exactly like a brain, and we've heard him speak on this, so to try and speak as Don speaks, I can't. So, you know, if you wish to hear Don speak, then go and listen to him, listen to the wisdom that he has about whole foods. It's an old doctrine. It's not something new. It's something that the ancients knew about. Where they got that knowledge from is unknown at this point in time. I believe that it was from a higher source, a higher understanding, and it was passed down through generation to generation by word of mouth. And somewhere along the line we lost that. We lost that through information being destroyed. We're at a time now where a lot of information is trying to be suppressed, but the beauty of the internet, YouTube, and I think Google Video, they have this incredible forum where you can see all this information that would normally be suppressed, and I think that's a beautiful sign that we're coming of age. So we will see some things fall, and we will see some structures fall, but there's really no structure that is man-made that is reliable anyway.